Welcome to another edition and another week of Let It Be Known. I am your host, Stacy Brown.
Peace and love, everybody. I'm your co-host, Niele Anderson, and we have a lot of headlines to get through today. And joining us this morning is Dr. Melina Abdullah from Black Lives Matter Grassroots, and we're going to talk about the latest Department of Justice investigation into Black Lives Matter.
And that's Black Lives Matter Global, right? That they're investigating, not
But we're going to get
Grassroots.
into it. We're going to get into it when she joins the show.
Okay, so maybe
So
there's a switch from last week.
No, we're just oh yeah.
Because the last we knew that Black Lives Matter Grassroots were not being investigated.
We'll talk about it when she joins the show.
All right, let's get into some other news. Former President Barack Obama is encouraging voters to elect Democratic governors in Virginia and New Jersey in races this Tuesday to rebuke Donald Trump 10 months into his second presidency and a year ahead of the midterm elections that could reshape next year's midterms. Obama's appearances Saturday for Abigail Spanberger and Mikey Sherrill contrast with Trump spending the weekend, of course, just abusing taxpayers' dollars at Mar-a-Lago. He left his Republicans, Winston Earl Sears in Virginia and Jack Ciattarelli in New Jersey, to campaign all by themselves. Y'all got his back and he don't have yours. And that is the bottom line. And this comes, folks, as Democrats lead Republicans right now in several polls in the fight for Congress by 8 points. It's the largest lead for either party on the congressional ballot since the 2018 midterms. The Democrats once had just a razor then 1 point edge back in March, 48 to 47%. So now they are widening as Trump's popularity fades.
Okay, so you brought up Obama. So let's talk about him and how he is really beginning to speak out more. And in his speech, I thought it was interesting that he said he wasn't expecting this. And I think that put the focus on how a lot of us felt. We knew that he was going to do things that, he did in the last administration, but not to this level of degree. I know Kamala Harris warned us about it, but I still think even she acknowledged the fact that she didn't think it was going to happen this fast and it was going to be this detrimental, especially to people of color. And so now we're seeing that it's going to take everybody that has a heart, that has compassion for democracy and the future of this country to step in and step out and speak up.
I just don't understand the statements from people like Barack Obama that say, I didn't see this coming. How did you not see it coming? These guys have been.
Well, that's not what he said. That's not what he said. He said he wasn't expecting it.
He wasn't expecting it to happen. Yeah. How do you not expect it? Same thing. How do you not expect
this level of degree?
These animals have been in their little cage for years, plotting like mad scientists. They put out Project 2025 long before the election. How do you not expect this? Is my question.
Because as a participant of civics and a participant of how this country was moving forward, what Donald Trump has done is unprecedented as a president. And so as a former president, I could see him saying, what is happening is unprecedented. You don't expect them to go balls to the walls like this. I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying that I can understand the context of what he was saying.
I'm not arguing with you. It's Obama. It's people like Obama. As a former president, it just tells me, it signals to me how out of touch he must be. How do you not expect? This is why I believe we're in this mess in the first place, because you got all of these, tight-collared Democrats. Oh, we can't do this. We can't do that. And here's the other thing. Donald Trump had a test run in 2016 to 2020. He had a test run. How do you not expect this? And then you knew how dangerous this guy was when they indicted him and convicted him and threatened to throw him in prison. And then you say, oh, you can have the office back. What the heck you think he was going to do?
Yeah. I mean, it's there's a lot of reasons why, reasons why people didn't vote. There are reasons why politicians aren't living up to the moment. There are a lot of reasons why for this
Mhm.
bad situation that we're in.
Oh yeah, I'm
Um,
not blaming. Believe me, I'm not blaming Barack Obama. I'm just saying that it signals to me that he's not as in touch as some like to think he is.
yeah, that
That's
goes,
all.
yeah,
I'm not
that goes
blaming him.
across the board.
Oh,
Yeah.
it does, without question. Like I said, I have no good words for that man. I have no good
And I
words.
think I think we can blame politicians, but we also have to blame the people too. The people who don't vote, the
I
people
don't blame them.
who pay attention to their social media handles more than what's happening in their local communities. So I think there is a blame that goes around the table, and it falls on politicians, but it also falls on the people too.
Yeah, and every time you say that, voters, I first of all, folks have been finally convinced for the most part. There are folks who I should say this. There are folks who are saying now, for the most part, they realize now, especially under Donald Trump and this era of Donald Trump and MAGA, their votes are not even mattering. There's many people who believe, I'm among them, that Kamala Harris won that election last year, but we'll never know. We will never know.
Well, I
There's
mean, there are people who thought Al Gore won. There are
oh,
people who thought Hillary Clinton won. I mean,
right.
yeah.
The point is, folks are like, you and Donald Trump. In addition to that, folks are like, well, why are we even bothering? And then you got, and you can't blame them. I would never blame them. And then you got Donald Trump rigging in public, rigging elections in publicly. So it's like we have no power. People are saying we have no power. And the powers that be, this is why it doesn't fall on the people, it falls on the powers that be. You had a record number of people go to the polls, and you're going to tell me that they should be encouraged to continue to do the same thing, beating this. We all say it. You keep hitting your
No,
head
they should
against
be
the
encouraged.
wall.
They
It's
should be
insanity.
they should be encouraged to participate in a more meaningful way. They should be encouraged to participate and understand that their civic participation goes beyond the ballot box. And so that's the whole structure of things. And it goes back to what's going to happen tomorrow. I think that you're going to see civics happening on local levels in mayor's races, in governor's races, in state legislator races, in school board races, in commissioner races. You're going to see local level politics really speak out tomorrow. And
And
so,
then,
yes, voting matters. It matters on a local level. It matters on the level right now more than it does on the federal
well, uh, that's what people have been told, and this is the results. That's all I'm saying. They're seeing these results, and there are folks over the weekend and going for it. They can't buy food. There are folks can't feed their babies. There are folks who are being
So let me ask
shackled
you this,
by
Stacy. Let me
state
ask you
sanctioned
this. What
police.
is your solution? You're saying your vote doesn't matter. So what would be
I
your solution?
so I'm the wrong person to ask that because I don't participate in politics. I cover politics.
But I mean, you're commenting on the why nots. What is your
I'm
solution?
not listen what I'm saying to you when you say why not, I'm not necessarily saying why. I'm saying I understand. I would never blame people for not, taking said, "Oh, I'm going to go do this." I would never blame them because they have done that for decades and they've constantly, whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a Republican, they've constantly been disappointed. And now they're demoralized. It's not their fault.
Okay, so
That's
we don't
blaming the
vote. So
victim.
no, so nobody votes. So nobody votes. So then what do we do?
Figure it out. Figure something else out. Figure something else out. That's
Okay.
all I'm saying. This is not. It's not worked. It's not
Look,
worked.
like Orangey said,
You
it's
had
not all of us. Over 85% of Black voters voted against MAGA white.
and they
Asian
cheated and
Latino
they took it
voters
from
did.
you anyway. They cheated and they took
So
it
I'm
from you
asking,
anyway.
I mean, if your only solution is they took it from you and they cheated,
That's
then
not
what
my
is the
solution. That's the actual outcome of everything.
so what is the solution?
Well, they got to find something other than politics to put their trust in. That's what I'm saying.
So what would that be?
Figure it out. I am
Okay.
not the
Okay.
I am not the
Okay.
mad scientist up there trying to decide what they should do. I'm saying, you know, King and them saw that this wasn't working, and so they got people gathered together. King and others said we must make a change, and their change happened to have been like you toward you with politics. That was their change. And how long did it last?
I mean, I would even, accept something like we need to be separate but equal. I would accept that,
Maybe
but to
that,
just no,
maybe
but just to
I don't believe that
throw it
too.
all up, but just to say throw it all away. I mean, that's
All the
not a
way.
solution.
Barrington
Well,
always
what is
said,
what,
burn it all down, and I agree with
what is
him.
the okay? So what is the alternative, Stacy?
We got so-called these great minds, black minds out there. Figure it out. Get the black minds together. Get in the room. Come up with a strategy. Marcus Garvey had a strategy. Most of us didn't
Okay, well,
follow it.
well, if you like his strategy, then
I
why
didn't say I liked his
not?
strategy.
Okay,
I said
well,
he
that's
had
what I'm saying.
one.
I mean, if we're going to talk about, the problems, I think it is also a strong importance and responsibility as journalists to provide solutions too. And I'm not saying your solutions. I'm just saying that the solutions that are out there.
And
What are your alternative solutions as a journalist that you are investigating that can be an alternative? Some people say separate but equal.
well,
I can listen to that, but I'm just saying, instead of just always throw it all away, what are you gonna make that's gonna make it better? What's other people
you,
out there doing to make it better?
so like I said, get some great minds together, get in the room, and come up with a solution. Talk it
Okay.
out. I don't think one person has the solution, is what I'm saying. So you get your best. They got their best or worst, however you want to call it, MAGA folks, Heritage Foundation, etc., Stephen Miller, etc. They got them together and came up with their solution. And it's working for them.
Well, I challenge both of us as journalists. We find those voices and those people and bring them to the forefront.
And so I'm speaking from many voices that I talk to every day. I write about 4 or 5 stories every day, talk to about 50 people every day.
That's what I'm asking you, Stacy.
And I'm answering your question. And the solution, consensus is we need to get together and discuss another way. That's the consensus. What would that way be? Well, let's have that discussion first. Let's get everybody together. Let's get in that room and let's come. It's like a jury goes and deliberate and then come up with a verdict. That's all I'm doing.
Got it.
Detroit could see the first Black woman mayor in the majority Black city's history, as City Council President Mary Sheffield leads the race several points ahead of local religious leader Reverend Solomon Kinlock Jr. of Triumph Church. So she is on the verge of making history. Very enthusiastic woman, and has been in the fight at City Council, and now she wants to take the reins and run the city. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, she's definitely projected to win. I've been talking to her office actually about coming on to the show. They're coming on to the Shade Room on Thursday, trying to get them to come on over here. So they're already like feeling like they got this in the bag. And so I think it's a great look for her to, take the reins, Black woman. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But according to her campaign, they got this in the bag.
Well, we'll see. It looks like it, that's for sure, but you never know.
Right.
You never know. Andrew Cuomo, the former governor now running for New York City mayor, has sparked a lot of backlash after describing diversity as a weakness. And all he did was show his true colors. During an appearance on MSNBC's The Weekend, he was discussing the mayor's role. He couldn't even get the the 2 Black hosts. He kept mixing up their names.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Cuomo showed who he really is over the weekend. If you had any doubts, diversity he called a weakness.
Right. Andrew Cuomo, whatever. I was loving how Mandami was getting out the vote this weekend. He did a bar crawl. He was in the bar screaming New York to Jay-Z and Alicia Keys. He was out there with the people. You know, when we talk about change and we talk about what we want to see, he is definitely an example. They said that Barack Obama is reaching out to him, trying to have conversations with him. So when we talk about what are some of the solutions, I think Mandami represents a solution, an alternative, something that the younger generation resonates, and he's thinking the same way we're thinking. To some, it's radical, of course. To moderate Democrats, to Republicans, they definitely don't like it. But the people, what he's doing, it resonates with them. So when we're talking about change and blow it all up and do something new, Mandami is one of those voices that represents the new.
Madami, my wife and I went to the Knicks opening game was a week ago or so, 2 weeks, and Cuomo made it after. It was the night of the debate in New York, and Cuomo came. He sat courtside and with Mayor Adams. Mandami arrived at Madison Square Garden, perhaps toward the end of the game, but he was outside with the fans. And I was talking with Lauren Burke on the phone, and my wife and I walk and we pass this guy interviewing a fan. And I said, he looks really familiar. It turns out it was Mandami interviewing Knicks fans, having fun with Knicks fans after the opening night. When Mandami, in other words, has been out there. He has been in touch with people. Andrew Cuomo is representing what the old guys do. And it's pure politics. It's all about him. Whereas Zoran he's showing, at least displaying it. Maybe he won't be eventually, but he's about the people and being with the people.
Right, for sure. Mandami is the guy for the moment, and I think he is going to represent what the change in this country is going to look like. Patricia says Stacy is not totally wrong. Of course, he's not totally wrong. Dr. Mellon says journalists report the facts. That's not their job to solve problems. Journalists write about history and share untold stories. Who may not know, of course. But it is an historical fact that the Black press is news, views, and advocacy. And so I'm not saying that it is our job to fix world humanity or fix the nation. I'm just saying that we should give counter responses and show an array of things. Just like we were talking about, what is the solution? Mandami could be a solution. That's all I'm saying is it's just like we can't just blow it up and not have any solutions. Even when Dr. King and them were doing that, there were still people that were saying we should be separate but equal. So, I mean, just what are those two conversations? And if we're going to blow something up, what is the solution for that? Or what is an alternative for that? That's all I'm saying, folks.
Right. And so that's your solution, right?
Not a solution. It's an
example. You gave an example of what could be a solution, separate but equal, or whatever. And what I'm saying is I'd rather get folks together, these so-called great minds that we see talking on NBC, it takes 20 minutes to complete a sentence. Huh?
Is it those commentators or is it the real organizations like Black Voters Matter, the National Council of Negro Women, Black Lives Matter Grassroots? Is it the commentators or is it the actual people that are doing the work?
So Black Lives Matter Grassroots is not a political organization, right? Or is it?
We'll ask Dr. Melina.
I
think that's a great question to ask. If we're going to have somebody from the organization on, why don't we pose that question to her?
I'll pose it to her. But here, what I'm saying is, when you mention Black voters or whatever matter, that's political. To me, it should be non-political. A Professor Gates and those guys, it should not come from a political point of view. It should not, because the politics is the problem.
Okay.
That's just how that's how I see it. But I mean, look, there are people, everybody has their own view. Um, Folks, and one of the more thrilling World Series we've seen in a while, the Los Angeles Dodgers won a dramatic Game 7 on Saturday, beating the Toronto Blue Jays 4-3, with Game 7 ending in extra innings, with the home team Blue Jays stranding a tying run at third base. The series also had a game that went 18 innings. I mean, it was quite the entertaining series, and perhaps brought more interest to the game of baseball. And congratulations to the Dodgers manager, back-to-back World Series titles, the first black manager since Cito Gaston. He and Cito Gaston are the only two black managers to win back-to-back World Series titles. And it looked like Dave Roberts is not going anywhere anytime soon. And with all of the money behind the Dodgers and the talent that team has assembled, the Dodgers are not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, their parade is today. LA is ready to turn up and celebrate. I know I wasn't watching the game, but I knew they had won by the amount of fireworks that hit the air. I was like, oh, the Dodgers must have won. But another story that's coming out that's trending is Magic Johnson, 16 championships across 3 sports as a player and an owner. I mean, you have 3 MLB, 3 wins with the Dodgers, 10 wins with the Lakers as a player and owner, 1 NCAA at Michigan State, a WNBA, okay, 1 with the Sparks, and a soccer MSL Cup as an owner. And so Magic Johnson has just dominated the sports industry. And so a lot of people are just applauding him and his leadership and his love for the Dodgers as well.
And maybe he can use some of that influence to talk to, as RNG says, that MAGA Core Civics owner of the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Talk some sense into him.
Yeah. Another conversation that people want to know is last year it was Ice Cube that performed at the celebration. And of course, we saw Nike use Kendrick Lamar's song Squabble Up as soon as they had won. And so now people are wondering, it was Ice Cube last year. Is Kendrick Lamar going to hit the field and sing Not Like Us?
Well, the Dodgers did use that song that,
Squabble Up.
well, they used the words "Not Like Us" when they took their team picture, and they slapped on the slogan "Not Like Us." So I guess, and with the Nike commercial, you kind of reading the tea leaves. If the tea leaves are correct, and the Dodgers have at least reached out to Kendrick Lamar, you would think.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, even Ice Cube posted yesterday. He was holding the trophy, and he posted "Not Like Us." So I think he's, accepted the fact that he might not get a second round. And of course, it goes to Kendrick. I mean, of course, because you also had Canada versus LA, which was the whole setup between Drake and Kendrick. And so Drake can't catch a win, not in court, not in hip hop, and now not even in baseball.
Yeah, and it's even some baseball fans. Dare I say, black baseball fans, Latino baseball fans were they were kind of torn because of, as RNG mentions, Mark Walter, the principal owner of the Dodgers, so affiliated with MAGA and the private prisons, and of course Canada is the one nation that's been standing up to Donald Trump. So people were kind of torn.
Yeah. But I mean, everybody here yesterday, you couldn't walk in LA without seeing a Dodger shirt. Everybody had a Dodger shirt on. Everybody had the LA hat on. So it's a lot of love. I just hope that the people of LA find a better way to celebrate, tagging buses and, just doing donuts in the street while, people are just trying to drive home. That's a little dangerous. So I just hope today they pipe down a little bit.
And footnote, like I said, Dodger manager Dave Roberts became the first black manager to win back-to-back World Series titles since another black manager, Cito Gaston. And Cito Gaston, if you didn't know, those 2 World Series titles he won, Toronto Blue Jays.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just thought of that.
Well, speaking of LA, we've been talking about her from the top of the show to the middle of the show. Joining us now, let it be known, family, is union leader and co-founder of Black Lives Matter LA and Black Lives Matter Grassroots. Welcome back, Dr. Melina Abdullah. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Any thoughts about the Dodgers before we get started?
No.
I can imagine why.
I'm glad we won. I live in Los Angeles. I'm glad we won, but I know nothing about baseball or sports at all. I'm glad Not Like Us is back out. We could use it again for some other stuff. But other than that, I do have thoughts though, Niele. I don't know if you saw what LAPD did to Dodgers fans. Did you see that? LAPD was unleashed on Dodgers fans, which reminds us how important it is to have strong leadership in a city. So where you have mayors like Brandon Johnson in Chicago protecting its citizenry from rogue law enforcement, from police, abusive police. Here in Los Angeles, unfortunately, I believe that our mayor is running to the right, and
Wow.
he was unleashed on Dodgers fans. There's video of police on horses brutally beating Dodgers fans who are simply celebrating a historic win, beating them, just taking batons and beating Dodgers fans. So this is really terrible. So I don't know much about the game. I do know a lot about what's happening in our city.
I guess you can only say, and it's not a big consolation, but it is some consolation that good thing it wasn't ice.
Yes.
It's terrible. But you said the mayor, you see the mayor as moving right?
I do. And you know, I think Black Lives Matter Los Angeles and I in particular have been a little bit tentative about being critical of Karen Bass. But we're at this point, and one of the reasons that I want to disclose, like Karen, I call her by her first name most of the time, because not just because her name is Karen, but because she's been a dear friend since 1996. And when I say dear friend, I don't mean like I kind of know her. I mean, she was there for the birth of my children. I mean, I was there when her father died, when her daughter died. I mean, we've organized together. And so many of us, especially in Black organizing community, were extremely hopeful when she was elected, even though we'd kind of gotten an indication that she wouldn't be as progressive as we hoped she'd be, because she had a track record in Congress of not being very progressive. But what we've seen, especially with challenges, is her running to the right. So the last time that she ran, you know, she was challenged from the right. And instead of saying, okay, well, my base is progressive community, she's actually been competing for those right-wing votes.
Wow.
And we see that with her pouring into LAPD, despite the fact that Angelenos have said, we want to pour into things like housing and mental health resources and libraries and what the young people are calling third spaces, right? And she's instead pouring more money into LAPD, reappointing people to police commissions who are absolute avowed Zionists. And it's really terrible and disappointing. And our call is for her to do what's right and gather some inspiration. It's not often that I praise elected officials, but what I see coming out of Chicago is a completely different model. And Brandon Johnson is someone who's quickly earning my respect. I know they've known him in Chicago a long time. He's a former teacher, but his courage and willingness to stand up and stand staunchly on the side of Chicagoans is something that I think we yearn for here in Los Angeles.
We were talking a little bit early about journalism and how Black press plays a role in news, views, and advocacy. And I'm bringing that up because as we're talking about Karen Bass, I've seen Mayor Bass work with BLM grassroots, like, for example, the LA Sentinel, when they hosted the People's Budget, and you guys came in, and as a newspaper, journalism, they still got involved in the advocacy and trying to bring BLM grassroots together. Mayor Bass talk about the budget. And so she has been a semi-ally as it relates to hearing the concerns of Black Lives Matter grassroots and using the Black press to do that. But I want to know, do you think that her moving more towards the right has to do with the fires and the big mess up that she has, and so she's trying to clean up as she begins to run for mayor again? Do you think that plays a part into it?
We could say that if it were fresh for 2025, but we know that one of the things that's different about her than the previous mayor, who, we had a whole chance about Eric Garcetti and were able to block him from being appointed to the Biden administration. We had demonstrations in front of the mayor's mansion every single day until he was blocked, right? Mm-hmm. One of the things that's different is what you're pointing out, Niele, is that Karen Bass gives us access. So she will show up. She's shown up now every year of her administration for the People's Budget presentation. And we're grateful to the Sentinel for also, even before the People's Budget was rolled out, immediately once she came into office, we had that meeting at the Sentinel. So she has been accessible, but access is different and hearing is different than actually listening, right? So each year we do this People's Budget presentation and we say, what do Angelenos want to spend on and not spend on? And each year, tens of thousands of Angelenos weigh into this survey, many more voices than are listed by or listened to in the LMU survey, which is sometimes kind of touted as the one in Los Angeles. So many times over the LMU survey. And every year, Angelenos say they want to stop spending so much on police, parking enforcement, and prosecutions. I call them the 3 Ps. Mm-hmm. So Mayor Bass will come, and we're always cordial with her, right? She'll come, she'll sit, she'll listen, and then she'll completely ignore what it is we have to say. Mm-hmm. So even though Black media has been good in saying you should listen, and she'll heed that, and she'll heed the voices of organized people, listen, to ignore is almost a greater disrespect than coming and,
Oh, you're 100% right. You're
Absolutely.
100% right, Dr. Melina. To ignore is a greater insult. And with that said, you mentioned how close you and the mayor is and have been. Have you had or sought out a chance to sit down with her, just you and her as friends, to discuss these concerns?
Well, early on, just before she was elected, and Niele will remember, but I don't know if the news made it over to you on the East Coast, Brother Stacy. Just before the election, there was an incident on my campus at Cal State LA where there was a mayoral debate. And I was sitting in the back of the auditorium, an empty auditorium, and campus police were called in to remove me. And they brutally dragged me from my seat. I still don't have full mobility in my left arm and shoulder because of it. They stretched me from all 4 limbs, and Karen Bass was on stage, and I was yelling to her to help, and she ignored it. And so that was the first indication that she was going to ignore us. And so after that happened, as my friend, because I was hurt, right? Physically, but also my spirit was hurt. She did come over and she sat on my couch and we talked. And I don't believe she was being honest. She said that she didn't know that was me. And I don't know, how many Black women professors she thinks there are at Cal State LA. I feel like my voice is pretty distinguishable even if she couldn't see. And we've been friends for 20 something years. So I didn't buy it, and we haven't had one-on-one conversations since then. That was 2022, I believe, 2022.
Wow.
All right. So you mentioned Not Like Us. And I think that is a perfect segue into talking about the Department of Justice charges against the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation. You released a statement. Black Lives Matter Grassroots, Black Lives Matter LA has released a statement, but we thought it was important for you to come on and allow you to respond to the charges that the Department of Justice has re-engaged against the Global Network Foundation. And I'll let you respond.
Yeah, and thank you for inviting me to talk about that. So one, they not like us, right? The Global Network Foundation is not part of the movement. The Global Network Foundation, the people who run it, are a bunch of thieves who stole our resources, platforms, and good name. So Black Lives Matter Grassroots is a completely separate entity. It's the original form of Black Lives Matter. We have 52 chapters all around the world. We do the boots on the ground work to organize for Black freedom, organize for Black lives. We are behind, exposing what happened in Mississippi with the Goon Squad and demanding justice in the name of Trey Reed, who was lynched on a college campus. And, tomorrow we're mobilizing to Lubbock, Texas for Erskine Jenkins, who was killed there almost a year ago. That's the work that we do. We mobilize for now 12 years for Black Xmas. So I'm glad that people are saying we're going to boycott white capitalism. We've been saying that for 12 years in honor of John Crawford, that during this period from Black Friday to January 1st, we build Black, buy Black, bank Black, and divest from white supremacy that keeps us oppressed, right? So this is the work of Black Lives Matter Grassroots. The Global Network Foundation, which is under federal investigation, even though they deny it, right? Has nothing to do with us. In fact, we tried to sue them for the return of our resources in 2022. And in 2023, we were blocked from even getting a day in court. So they not like us. That said, even though we may feel a sense of validation, we got to remember who's investigating them, right? That the Trump administration is pure evil, or my mama would say pure D evil, right? And they're evil. And we have to make sure that we kind of kill any semblance of ego in ourselves, even though we might feel validated by this investigation. It's the enemy of my enemy is not, especially in this case, my friend. So we are not taking delight in the federal investigation of the Global Network Foundation. We do say this offers a renewal of the possibility that they step in and do the right thing and return the money, the platforms, and the name of Black Lives Matter to the movement on the ground. Return it so that we can do the righteous work that's absolutely necessary, especially in this moment of rising fascism where they're catching a piece of it. They thought we'd be the only ones catching it, right? Because we're actually doing something, but they're catching a piece of it. So return it so we can do the important work of moving on the ground. So that's what we have to say. And we also know that we're not exempt from Trump's witch hunt. A week before, he just said he is unleashing I think he used the term, the full weight of the federal government against the Black Lives Matter movement. And so they're investigating them now. It doesn't mean they won't come after us.
Right.
Yes, that's I love how you put it, because I've always agreed with that saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But in this case, like you said, this is not your friend. This is in no way not your friend. But Just to reiterate, and I'm glad you said it, and I hope people heard you, but I want you to reiterate the original Black Lives Matter is Black Lives Matter Grassroots, correct?
That's right. So Black Lives Matter Grassroots is made up of the organizers and the chapters that started heeding the call when Trayvon Martin's killer was acquitted. We started right here in Los Angeles, and we were the boots on the ground who've been doing work since July 13th, 2013. Our movement was hijacked by 3 highly paid consultants. You know, I believe in naming names. Their names are Shalomia Bowers, Cecily Gay, and Dejanay Parker. And that is who's under investigation. They are not part of Black Lives Matter Grassroots, nor have they ever been.
I think it's really interesting, and you brought it up, and it really popped in my. It was like a light bulb moment that Black Lives Matter Grassroots continues to do the work of calling out police violence against Black and Brown and people of color. Meanwhile, the Global Network Foundation intentionally decided to move away from the mission and focus on Black joy. I wonder how much joy they're having there. But talk to us about, there's an election tomorrow. You guys are highly involved in helping get out the vote, and to say, just letting people know civic participation. Talk to us, in your mind, from Black Lives Matter Grassroots perspective, what's at stake as we look at what's happening across the nation with elections tomorrow?
So it's hugely important that we get out and vote. And from the beginning, but really in 2016 and 2020, we said that what we need to do is vote and organize. And so we've been a part of mobilizing Black voters, especially through every election. But we also say that you can't only vote. You can't only go to the polls and say, I did what I need to do. Right. So here in California, we haven't come out as an organization saying that, but members within Black Lives Matter Los Angeles and many of our chapters are saying we have to vote. There's a ballot proposition, Prop 50. We have to vote yes on Prop 50. Black Lives Matter has not endorsed one way or the other. Black Lives Matter Grassroots has not endorsed one way or the other. But we do say we got to get out and vote. In Alabama, there's a huge operation in Alabama that's partnered with Black Voters Matter, mobilizing the Black vote in Alabama. In Mississippi, there's much work being done around voter mobilization. So we do say that we have to vote and organize. You know, we liken ourselves and try to inherit the legacy of people like Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer, right? You can't say you love or call Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer's name and then not go to the polls. So we go to the polls, but we also know no oppressed people have ever simply voted themselves into freedom. It's voting and organizing that's essential to what we do.
Well, again, as Dr. Marilyn said, you cleared that up. She thanks you for clearing that up. One of our viewers thanks for clearing up Black Lives Matter. But the last thing I have is with this situation, I'm going to go back to the investigation. With this situation, has anybody reached out to you guys? Well, let me ask it this way. How many people have reached out to you thinking that you guys were under investigation?
A few have. I think that, you know, we're grateful to Black media because I think Brother Stacy, Sister Niele, you've been part of at least allowing us to come on platforms and clarify. And we've been doing that for the last several years. And it seems that it's beginning to take hold, that people are beginning to understand that Black Lives Matter Grassroots and the Global Network Foundation are not the same thing. Also, people who are just influential voices. So very, very recently, I believe it was last week, Amanda Seales used her platform to talk about movement on the ground and that Black Lives Matter Grassroots, and then goes on to say specifically Grassroots, right, is mobilizing and doing work on the ground. And that has helped us build our own platforms, helped us get our own voices out there. And so there have been only a few that have thought that the Global Network Foundation or the investigation could mean, that Grassroots was under investigation. So we're grateful to you all, to Black media and Black independent voices, for doing that and helping us uplift things in that way. We're especially grateful to the voices on the ground who've been, I'm writing a piece right now called Wisdoms from My Mama. My mama just turned 80 yesterday, right? And so I have grateful to have a weekly column now in the LA Sentinel. And so I'm writing Wisdoms from My Mama, and my mama and my grandmother always taught me that you just do the work and live as righteously as possible, right? Just do the work and live as righteously as possible. And that's become, I think, a mantra for many of our organizers who, despite the fact that we don't have any money, despite the fact that we have growing but not massive platforms, that they just do the work. And I think that in some ways that speaks for itself. And we talk often about being the clean glass of water. And so I think that that's kind of protected us in many ways from attacks and giving clarity to people when they see people like Andrew Joseph doing work in the name of his son who was stolen by police violence, or people like Baba Akili, who's been in this movement, and he'll say all of your life, right, since the 1960s, right, that they know that the people who are moving the work forward are moving the work forward because we believe and know we have a right to be free Black people.
Thank you so much for tapping in this morning and just giving us an update on LA and Black Lives Matter Grassroots. I'm sure we'll check back in with you as this story continues to develop. Thank you so much, Dr. Abdullah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, and there you have it. Just a couple more headlines to get through real quickly. And let's talk about Donald Trump says there could be U.S. boots on the ground and airstrikes in Nigeria. Now, he said they're killing a record number of Christians in Nigeria, and the president of Nigeria has responded and said the characterization of Nigeria as religiously intolerant does not reflect our national reality. And with this story, I find it interesting that he wants to go over to Nigeria when you look at what's happening in Sudan and in the Congo, and there is a complete genocide happening in those two countries, and we are dead silent on that. And then you just want to randomly pick on Nigeria? Is it because they're cool with China? I mean, I don't know.
Well, he's all for a genocide of Black people, so he'll leave them alone. But the idea of picking on Nigeria, folks should be up in arms. But you don't hear anybody up in arms too much.
Right. And you don't really see, to Dr. Joni's point, just about reporting the news, you don't hear about what's going on in the Congo or in Sudan. And of course, we definitely know what's going on in Gaza, which is definitely important. But I think Sudan and the Congo are just as important. And then to just pick Nigeria, I'm like, I know there's a lot of headlines coming out about how Nigeria and China are becoming strong allies. So could that be the reason why he wants to strike Nigeria? But either way, I think that if Donald Trump continues to move on a world stage the way he is moving and threatening nuclear there, we could be in WW3 coming up, World War III, if he continues to act the way that he does. And that's a scary thought.
You got to understand a demented mind that wants a Nobel Peace Prize, who was denied a Nobel Peace Prize. And let's face it, the only reason why he really wants the Nobel Peace Prize is because Obama got it. But this demented mind will indeed do what he can to set off a World War III to at some point believing that he could end it triumphantly and win the Nobel Prize.
Jesus Christ. And in more news, I hope that he wants to solve a world problem. Let's just get back over here to the United States, where the FAA is pressing Congress to reopen the government as major airports across the country are experiencing flight delays and cancellations due to staffing shortages amid lapsing in funding. I mean, I've even been told that TSA is just letting you walk through. You know, they showing up for work, but they not working.
Yeah, I've been told the same thing. In fact, I saw an air traffic controller, and I forget which platform he was on, an active air traffic controller, saying that, you know, it is what it is. We as far as people manning the skies, we some of us are, some of us aren't.
Yeah, it's really scary. I was thinking about traveling over the Thanksgiving holiday, but I'm just afraid of getting stuck. I mean, look at, you know, with Jamaica, it's not just the hurricane. People can't, the what's happening in the United States is another factor why those individuals can't get out of Jamaica. And so I'm just, you know, we should all be hesitant about traveling because we no longer, our airports no longer have the infrastructure to sustain major travel when you have air traffic controllers that are now having to work 2 and 3 jobs. And you know, Jasmine Crockett, we were just talking to her last week, and she was telling us about how the air traffic controllers, the planes just represent dots, right? And so you really have to be focused on what is going on. And just imagine somebody working 3 jobs and then coming in there trying to look at little dots all across the air skies. I mean, it's really scary out there. And then with TSA, you know, international terrorists, you know, like they see that our infrastructure is weak in our airports, and guess what they could do? They could just slip on by.
Well,
So
and they have
it's a lot
been,
going on.
yeah, and they have been loosening requirements and security measures with TSA this year under Donald Trump anyway. So and now you're not paying them. They're not, they're not, like you said, I've heard the same things, like, oh, whatever, just go on through.
Yeah.
So how dangerous is that? How
Yeah.
much more dangerous?
Right. And Dr. Melina, we were talking about mayors earlier. Another story that gives hope as we continue to be under this government shutdown, and the repercussions are going to get worse day by day. Atlanta Mayor Andrew Dickens has paused evictions and water shutoffs as SNAP funding lapses, and so this will be into effect and last until January 31st of 2026. And so you see, you know, Dr. Abdullah brought up Mayor Johnson in Chicago. And then you see what's happening here in Atlanta. Brandon Scott in Maryland, he says that he's going to, you know, subsidize and find a way to make sure that people get their snaps. So you see local elected officials really doing the work. And making sure that even though they don't, there's something in between. So, okay, so use your rent money or use your water money to get your groceries, and I'm gonna make sure that you still gonna have a place to live and some water, because we got to figure this out.
And on top of that, for you lovers of Donald Trump, his administration put out something yesterday threatening grocery stores who are giving either giving away or giving discounts to people who have lost their SNAP benefits. Isn't that something?
That is crazy. So more to talk about, but we're going to stick a pin in it there.
We're going to stick a pin in it there, folks. We overtime, so we got to run, but we will see you again tomorrow.